I've managed to avoid injury for the first 3 years of my admittedly very young climbing career, and let's face it, in our world, that's the exception rather than the rule. So knock on wood, everybody, because today I'll be sharing 5 strategies to stay injury-free as a beginner climber. Climbing injuries are usually caused by overuse or by traumatic injury sustained in explosive movements. So we'll help you climb smarter, avoid overtraining, and reduce your sensitivity to injury. We'll be looking at warming up before your climbing sessions, stretching after your sessions, a prevention routine to strengthen and mobilize your body, how to approach recovery through rest and nutrition, and the mental aspect of avoiding injury. Let's go. First and foremost, warming up properly is crucial. I know Magnus says he never warms up, but most of us are built a little differently. So we urge you to work on incorporating a warm-up routine at the start of your session. I always start with cardio to get the blood flowing, which usually boils down to riding my bike to the gym and doing mountain climber planks and some flowy yoga moves once I'm there. Flow is important here because before a session, I want to focus on dynamic stretching to activate range of motion in my lower body, my shoulders, and my wrists and forearms. I also recruit my fingers thoroughly with tendon gliding and by working on a spray wall with my feet still on the ground. Recruiting my shoulders and back, I do with scapular pull-ups and band work. My next step is usually a mindful climb on easy terrain to wake up my climber's mind and to see if my warm-up routine has been sufficient so far. Afterwards, I'll go back to warming up parts of my body that felt tweaky or underprepared when working on the wall. Recently, as I've progressed from a beginner to an intermediate climber, I've introduced a more extensive finger warm-up on progressively smaller rungs, and I've been making sure to warm up my lower body and hamstrings as well. Because heel hooks become more important and frequent as you progress through the grades. Nothing feels scarier to me than pulling on cold or weak hamstrings. At the end of my session, I make sure to have some energy left for static stretching, which increases tissue mobility and range of motion. Here's 5 stretches you can incorporate right now. First up is a forearm stretch, hitting the area that has most likely been working the hardest during your session. Make sure to stretch both flexors and extensors to avoid ending up with an imbalance. Next up is a shoulder stretch that can hit the bicep and the tissue connecting to your pecs as well. You should focus on breathing to relax into the positions. You have to think if you're not breathing, you're not stretching. I've been focusing on hamstrings lately, but you can stretch your legs in many satisfying ways. And a go-to should be the eagle stretch, which hits your deltoids and rotator cuff muscles in the upper back. Finally, if you're someone with tight hips, these stretches are for you. It's all about putting your energy in the right place and being mindful of what your body needs. Give it a try and let us know in the comments how it's working out for you. An injury prevention routine is a game changer and has 3 distinct goals. First of all, some additional static stretching is included to keep increasing tissue mobility on off days. Next, we incorporate some strength training, which isn't only beneficial to make gains in climbing performance, but has proven to be a very efficient way to avoid injury as well. Finally, as climbers, we do a lot of pulling, so we want to work in some antagonist training to balance out our muscular development. We want to hook you up with a routine that will be a great starting off point and that you can start doing today, once or twice a week. Let's roll the tape.
We'll be going through the circuits relatively fast here, so make sure to pause the video to copy them down or to study the form. For an easy copy-paste, we'll add the circuits to the description of this video. These exercises feature controlled movements, but don't do them when you're 100% cold. Add a little warm-up beforehand to make the whole experience more enjoyable. The routine is built of strength exercises and antagonist work, but feel free to add additional static stretching at the end as a fourth circuit. Note that the goal of most exercises is to do quality reps for extra strength gains or for stabilizing your musculature. If the exercises get too easy over time, don't increase the amount of reps, but increase the weight or the resistance. As a bonus, we suggest you work on your legs as well. It can feel counterintuitive to focus on legs as a climber because there's this assumption that they'll just weigh you down. However, leg work can improve hormonal balance, which makes building muscle and burning fat a little easier. And who doesn't want stronger mobility and increased range of motion or balance when they're facing a tricky slab? So don't skip leg day.
Recovery is a multifaceted strategy of which nutrition and rest are crucial parts. We won't be sharing dietary tips or selling you a protein shake here because when it comes to nutrition, we're not professionals. But there is an insight that we do want to share with you. Watching high-profile climbers online might lead you to think that being skinnier is a direct way to increase performance. However, novice climbers are introduced to so many new physical stimuli and might, on the contrary, need to increase their fuel intake. Sufficient carbohydrates are important to stay fueled to perform, and protein and amino acids are what helps our muscles repair and adapt to stimuli. So please don't deprive your body of what it undoubtedly needs to climb hard. When it comes to resting to recover, there might be some confusion as to what rest actually looks like. Rest doesn't necessarily mean a day on the couch. You're better off doing some light activity like light cross training, easy runs, relaxing swims, or a walk or a hike. Studies show that light activity is better for recovery than full stationary rest. However, there's a caveat. If you're physically and mentally fatigued, maybe just hit the couch. Start up the PlayStation, stay in, because that downtime can recharge you mentally, keeping the climbing hunger alive, which will serve you better in the long run. Speaking of mental fatigue, the fifth and last strategy entails self-awareness and mindset, which are paramount. If you want to stay injury-free and train consistently for a long time, you'll have to learn to listen to your body in order to pick up on signals of overtraining. These signals can be mood changes, persistent fatigue, chronic muscle pain or soreness, reduced coordination, or frequent illness. You can keep a training journal where you track your energy levels, any illness, and a more zoomed out impression of how you feel while training or how you're thinking about your training. If you notice a trend where you start dreading the training or you're no longer motivated to climb, it's time to take a step back and regroup. Maybe find some new climbing partners or have the week off. Maybe call your mom or dad. Another note is the importance to accept slow progression. Climbing has become very popular during recent years, and you might feel like everyone online is outperforming you. The truth is, they probably are, since they've been at it for a long time. The way to keep moving forward can be to set small goals, and as beginner climbers, we're spoiled for options. Try to perfect your heel hooking technique, work on footwork, on slabs, get very nerdy about technique drills. The list is easily written. Big goals could be future achievements or outdoor projects, but I suggest to stay in the moment and find ways to have fun training. Fun can be found in being a real student of a sport. With the wealth of online content available today, you have access to tips and tricks by the best climbers on the planet. Heck, even Adam Ondra has a YouTube channel with technique tips. It's a good time to be a climber, and that's a good realization to have when you feel like you're underperforming and when you're at risk of overtraining and consequently injuring yourself. And that wraps up my strategies for staying injury-free as a climber. Comment down below how you've been training in your first years of climbing and if you've managed to stay injury-free. Let's share our experiences and help each other out. Next, call your mom, but thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.